So before I continue to show you how I routed the wires in for the reverse camera, I just want to show you what all the connections are for, because it will make it a lot easier to understand where you want to route it and what you have to do. So basically this is another camera. This isn't the camera I fitted, but this is another one just to show you. You're going to have the camera, and then it's going to have wires coming out of it. You're going to have the yellow wire, which is the video wire, female. They will also give you a really long wire, which has got two yellow male connectors. So this will fit into there. And then this side, you will route this all the way to the back of the head unit. Now, you might have some additional wires branching off from these yellow connections, but I never needed to use those. So you don't need to worry about those. As for this plug here, they'll give you another wire, and you connect this with that, and the other end of this wire has a black wire, or black and red, which you will ground to a suitable place in the car. And the other wire coming from this is the wire which you need to power the camera with. You will tap this wire into the reversing bulb wire, and there's two places you can tap into that I know about. That is it basically to get the camera working. Now let me go show you how I routed it. You're going to need to pull off this boot trim. It's only clips holding it on. So you're going to need to drill a hole to get the wire through. I stuck it down with double-sided tape because I broke the screw when I was removing it from the last car. Get the wires through that grommet and retrieve the wires from behind this little compartment. In this same compartment, you're going to see the first place that you can tap in to the reversing bulb wire. It's the green and brown one. Now, whether you've tapped into the reverse bulb wire here or you're going to tap into the other place, you still need to feed the wires down through this trim. You can remove the whole trim, but there's a lot of clips that could potentially break. So what I like to do is stuff a screwdriver in to make space so I can pull the wire down to the thinner part of the trim, and then I can disconnect that trim from the lower part here. Now we move on to probably the hardest part of the installation, and that is getting the wires through this very delicate rubber hose. Start off by removing the rubber hose from the plastic clips which it is connected to. Then tape up the wires that you want to push through onto a long screwdriver or something similar. Use a lot of tape so you don't damage the video wire connector, and spray inside the hose and on the screwdriver with the wires as much as you can. This really helps for the wire to go through without getting stuck. Go slowly and take your time. You don't want to make a hole in the rubber, and you don't want to damage any of the wires. If it disconnects, if the wires come loose from the screwdriver or the other object you've used, use the hose and pull the hose over the wires if they're in already, as opposed to trying to shove the wires through. Now hopefully you successfully got the wires through. You can just get rid of the tape which you used to hold it onto the screwdriver and feed the wires down into the C-pillar, where you can later remove this trim and retrieve it. As for the other side, you're going to need to take these wires and shove it up into the boot lid. Now putting it back is also tricky, as you won't be able to just put the rubber hose over the clips. You have to remove the plastic trims. It's near impossible to put it over while the plastic trim piece is in place. Now, removing that plastic trim from its place is also difficult because they're very fragile. I've cracked the edge, but I didn't break the clip so it can still work. You just have to be very careful and use a screwdriver and take your time with it. Once it's out, then you'll be able to fold the edges of the rubber trim over the plastic clip, and then you can put them both back together in one go, and hopefully you have a good seal. Once that's done, that really is the hardest part of the job over. Then you can go about retrieving the wires which you drop down into the C-pillar. Can just pull away the trim there, and you can feed up the wires which you pushed up into the boot lid and connect them with the camera wire and the red and black wire which we were feeding down earlier. Replace back the boot trims. As for the wires that we've dropped down into the C-pillar, you want to drop them down in behind this carpet. I have this CD changer, so I can't really show you, but I've just grounded it there for testing purposes, and I will find a suitable place later. As for the second reversing, the second place you can tap into the reversing bulb, it is the reversing wire behind this carpet here, which is again is brown and green wire, which is just coming out of that green connector plug. Once you've done that, then the only wire left to route is the video wire, which I ran along the top of the doors and down the A pillar and behind the glove box and into the back of the head unit.